If this message reaches anyone at all, then let this first truth be said plainly. I don't know how much longer the signal will hold. The storms are worsening. The sky trembles every night as if remembering what it once held together. And the towers, those that still stand, groan like animals too tired to remain alive. My name is irrelevant. Names mattered when cities glowed and roads connected the living. Now they are nothing more than labels for ghosts. What you need to know is that I have been walking for 13 days across what used to be a coastline, heading toward a rumor that something survived out here. Maybe a structure. Maybe a person. Maybe only a dream someone whispered before collapsing. But a rumor, in a world like this, is as close to hope as we get. I record because silence is too heavy to carry alone, and because memory, our most fragile resource, keeps slipping away. The land has changed in ways that words barely hold. The sea is gone. What remains is a vast plain of cracked minerals, shining like old bone beneath the sun. When the wind rises, it lifts pale dust into spiraling columns that drift across the horizon, dissolving slowly like smoke from a forgotten fire. There are no birds anymore, no insects, no engines whining in the distance, only the hum of the world cooling, settling, forgetting us. I passed what used to be a port city 2 days ago. The skeletons of skyscrapers leaned against each other, their glass melted into amber ribbons. Inside the buildings, rooms still existed, chairs, desks, cups fused to metal shelves. But it all felt staged, as if curated by a careless god, everything intact, yet long abandoned. What struck me most was the paper, billions of pages scattered across the streets. Bills, menus, textbooks, diaries, posters advertising movies that never premiered. When the wind shifted, they rustled gently, like an audience waiting for a performance that would never begin. I was traveling through that silent graveyard when I first heard it, a pulse, weak, intermittent, barely distinguishable from the static generated by the atmospheric fractures. My receiver flickered for the first time in weeks, a heartbeat of sound, not natural, not environmental, artificial, a signal. I froze. Every instinct argued that it was impossible. Nothing electronic has broadcast steadily since the Great Collapse. The electromagnetic storms swallow everything. But the pulse repeated. 3 beats. Pause. 3 beats again. Pause. Then a long tone, almost like someone dragging a bow across a rusted string. I followed it. Not out of bravery, but because when the world has already ended, curiosity becomes a form of survival. You need something to move toward. The signal grew stronger as the sun set. I found shelter under a broken overpass, the concrete still warm from the day's heat. The static had softened into a rhythm, like a coded message, but one I could not yet decipher. The nights are dangerous. Temperatures plunge. The darkness feels closer than it should. But even in the shadow, I kept the receiver pressed to my ear. Because for the first time in 4,000 days, the world was speaking again. The next morning, I found the source. Not the final origin, but a clue. Beneath the overpass, buried under a drift of ash and broken rebar, lay a handheld transmitter. Military grade, but decades old. Its casing was scorched as if it had survived an explosion. The antenna was bent to nearly a right angle. The battery compartment was melted shut. Yet somehow, impossibly, it still emitted that faint rhythm. I pried it free, brushing away soot and flakes of dried metal. Along the side, someone had carved a symbol, a circle split in half horizontally, like a rising sun dipped in water. I don't recognize it. It doesn't belong to any pre-collapse faction I know. Inside the transmitter's log, I found only one recorded entry, 90 seconds long, corrupted beyond clarity, but fragments survived, breaths, shuffling, and a single whispered line. Not alone, not anymore. The words chilled me more than the wind itself, because they could mean salvation or warning. I stored the transmitter inside my pack, reinforced its signal, and followed the direction of the broadcast. The pulse seemed to lead inland, toward the mountains where the old research stations were built. But I am still not sure if someone wanted the message found, or if they wanted it buried forever. Walking north, I passed remnants of what people once believed would save them. Solar farms, cracked like dry riverbeds, wind turbines frozen mid-rotation, underground bunkers sealed shut from the inside. Hope had been a mechanical thing back then. It relied on wires and fuel and predictable skies. When the skies turned unpredictable, hope dissolved with them. I camped near an old rail line that had buckled from seismic shifts. The earth here moves in slow waves, as though breathing reluctantly. Beneath me, I could hear tremors, small, steady, rhythmic. Not natural tremors. Mechanical ones. I placed my ear to the rail, and there it was. A distant tapping, repeating in the same pattern as the transmitter's pulse. 3 beats. 3 beats. Long tone. Someone, or something, is trying to send a message across what remains of the world's infrastructure. I do not know how many receivers are still functioning. I do not know who they are hoping will hear. Maybe they don't know either. But the tapping felt intentional, deliberate. A reminder that even in ruin, patterns persist. It is difficult to recall the world before everything burned. Memory comes in flashes, faces without names, rooms without walls, weather that behaved like a friend instead of a threat. Sometimes, in the moments just before sleep, I remember the sound of rain on a rooftop, the soft percussion, the clean smell that followed. Entire cities used to pause just to listen. Now rain is poison. It falls in thick metallic sheets that scar the soil, leaving behind iridescent puddles that simmer in the sun. I wonder if the transmitter's creator remembered the old world too. Maybe that's why they sent the signal. Not to save anyone. Not to be saved. But simply so that something, anything, would continue speaking after they were gone. There is a kind of comfort in that thought. Quiet defiance. A refusal to let the silence win. Tonight, the signal is louder. So loud I can feel it in my bones, a vibration humming beneath my ribs. I believe I'm close. The mountains ahead rise like broken teeth, their slopes littered with old research modules. Before the collapse, these sites were rumored to house continuity projects, attempts to preserve human knowledge against global failure. If any place survived, it would be there. But survival doesn't always mean safety. I found footprints today, fresh ones. Not animals, those are gone. Human, heavy, deliberate, as if the person was carrying something or someone. The tracks headed the same direction I am heading, toward the epicenter of the signal. This is the first sign of other life I've seen in years. It should give me hope. Instead, it gives me questions. Who are they? How long have they been following the broadcast? Are they the creator of the signal? Or another seeker, like me? Or something else entirely? The air grows colder as I walk. Shadows stretch long across the plain. The transmitter vibrates against my hip, urging me forward. I will reach the mountains by dawn. As I walk, I am struck by a strange truth. Even in ruin, the world tries to heal itself. In the cracks of the dried seabed, pale moss grows, thin, ghost-like, clinging to minerals that once belonged to fish and coral. Along the edges of collapsed buildings, small crystalline structures form where moisture collects overnight. Not plants, not ice, something new. Adaptation, unfolding slowly, quietly, without us. The old world is gone, but the world itself is not. This realization stirs something in me, not quite hope, not quite grief, something in between, a kind of reverence for the planet that endured our mistakes and continues to reshape itself from the wreckage. Perhaps whoever sent the signal understood this. Perhaps they wanted to bear witness to the reshaping. Perhaps they wanted company. Or perhaps they wanted someone to see what comes after the collapse of an entire species. The sky tonight is a sickle of red clouds stretched thin across the horizon. Lightning flickers inside the fog but makes no sound. The storms are moving east again, faster than before. Something is building. Something large. I can't describe it, but I feel it, like pressure behind the eyes, like the world inhaling before it breaks. The signal, too, has changed. The pulse is faster, urgent, almost frantic. It's no longer a mere pattern. It's a call. And whatever lies beneath the ash, whatever intelligence, machine, person, or remnant is generating it, it wants to be found. This will be my last recording before I reach the research stations. If I don't return, let this file be enough to prove that the world, even shattered, still whispers. Enough to show that we were never as alone as the silence made us believe. Enough to remind whoever finds this that the end is not a single moment, but a long echo that fades only when no one is left to listen. I go now toward the signal, toward whatever truth waits in the mountains. If this is my final entry, then remember this. What survived the fall was not our cities, not our machines, not even our knowledge. What survived was the desire to reach out, to speak into the void, to be heard, and maybe, just maybe, to find someone else listening.